The magician shows an empty brown bag, and then he has a completely mixed up Rubik's Cube. He places the cube inside the bag. Then he shows nothing else in his hand, and when he reaches back in the bag, the cube is completely solved. So in this video, I'm going to teach you all you need to know about Rubik's Cube magic, and specifically the moves that I just used to do the cube in the bag trick. However, once you learn these moves, there are many different ways you can solve the cube using the exact same moves. So for example, I did the cube in the bag, but you could put it behind your back and say, hey, count to 10, and by the time you get to 10, I'm going to have this cube solved. And then before they even start counting, you take it out and it's solved. They'll think you have another cube behind your back, and then you turn around and there's no other cube. It'll blow their mind. Some magicians like to do it where it's mixed up and they shake their hands, and while they're shaking their hands, they solve it right in front of them. So you decide how you want to use it, but these are the moves. Now, before we get started, I'm going to assume that you already know how to solve a Rubik's Cube without any magic moves or anything. If you don't know the basic moves to solve a Rubik's Cube, I suggest you learn that first, because I promise you, when you're practicing this, you're going to make a mistake. Your cube's going to get mixed up and you won't be able to solve it. I'll put a link in the comments below to a bunch of videos on how you can learn to solve the cube very easily. But here are the basic moves to set the cube up to do it the way I do it. Now, there are other ways to do this, so this is probably one of the easier ones. There are more complicated ways to do this. So here's the setup from my perspective. I always use the white side facing me with the green side facing upward. Now, you don't have to do it that way. I like to do it that way so that if I have it set up, I'll always know what orientation the cube is in. So from this orientation, you're going to start with the right side of the cube going forward once, and then the top is going to spin this way, and the bottom is going to spin the opposite way. So if you just use your ring finger over here and your index finger on this side, push them both, and then on the right side, you're going to go forward one more time. Then if you take the entire cube and you turn it sideways like this, you're ready to go. And the way you know you're in the right orientation is if the two white spots are facing up here, and to the right side, the two green spots. So now if you were to have this cube in the wrong orientation, well, as soon as you picked it up, you could spin it around and find that spot, and boom, you're ready to go. And the reason this orientation is important is because now with your right ring finger, you can spin the bottom, you can flip it, spin the bottom, flip it twice, spin the bottom, flip it one more time, and it is solved. That, then you roll it half a turn. That, now roll it a full turn, back, a half a turn, and back. And it's solved. Once you're comfortable with these moves, you could actually mix the cube up right in front of someone. So you have a solved cube and you're talking to them, and you say, oh, I'm gonna show you a trick with a Rubik's Cube. It looks like you just mixed it up. They don't know that you set it up specifically the way you wanted it. And there are some other convincer moves that you could learn in other videos where you just keep doing other moves that actually don't change the cube in any way. It's just a couple of algorithms to bring it right back to the way it is right now if you really want to convince them that it's mixed up. So when you pick the cube up, you want to make sure that from your orientation, the two white spots are pointing up with, to the right side, the two green spots. So if it were flipped upside down like this, I could pick it on the table, I know immediately this is the wrong orientation for me. I have to spin it around. So what I would do is I would show, look, this cube is completely mixed up. And while I'm showing it, I'm looking for the white two spots there, right? So it's upside down. I say, look, I have a cube here. It is completely mixed up. And I'm going to try to solve. Now I've got it in the right orientation. While I'm talking, my thumb is on the white spot, I have the green to the right, and now I can do the moves. If you're doing inside the bag, this is how it works, right? As soon as you put it in, you're gonna do two moves. So once it gets past here, you go one, flip, two, and then I like to go one, two, so it's in the right orientation inside the bag, and then I'm holding it, inside the bag like this. I take my hand out, I show it empty, I talk a little about whatever I'm gonna talk about, then when I reach back in, all I have to do is one, two, and it's solved. Another important thing to note is the type of cube that you use matters in this trick. If you buy a regular Rubik's Cube off the rack in a toy store, it'll work, but there's a couple of issues with it. First, it makes noise. So when you turn, it's gonna usually squeak or they'll make some kind of noise. These are made to be pretty silent. So if I just go nice and easy, you almost can't hear it turning. Also, it turns very easily. So with this finger, I can kind of flick it and it'll turn nice and easy. This version that I have, which I'm going to put a link to in the comments if you want to get one of these, it's actually got like magnets inside. So when it catches to the right spot, it kind of locks itself in place pretty easily, which makes it easier to do. It's also, you'll see it's pretty durable. You can pull in these pieces and they kind of separate, but then it bounces right back.